Amos, it's one thing to talk, all these things that we're discussing in a nice air-conditioned studio here in Nairobi, but it's a different thing. It appears, and I'm going to use a hypothetical example. If you suddenly woke up tomorrow and find you're the senior advisor to the education ministry, a lot of realities there would then make you change what you'd then tell us in the next interview.
Not necessarily.
From a budget perspective, suddenly realize the money that we're talking about isn't as readily available as possible. Or many other... Okay, you seem to want to respond before I finish.
I am very consistent.
Is there a possibility that the Ministry of Education has few options before it, and what we are seeing is it's trying to navigate those options?
Not necessarily. Mr. President, let me address my beloved president. Just ask this institution that sits on Murang'a Road in the next 2 weeks to give you a brief that is not more than 2 pages on the implementation of functional literacy. That's what this country needs. Just 7 elements. I mean, this addresses a serious question that we call, you can't sell hope in the name of an education nurturing everybody's potential. You can't have an education that gives everybody what they want. Societies don't work that way. We design systems that deliver what we call dignity. Ask KICD that what are the must-haves for everyone. Honestly, the problems that we're having in KICD, in this implementation of CBC 844, has problems of this poorly funded institution called KICD, no human resource, less than 1,000 people, even they have got no resources. Do you know that, for your information, that even KICD doesn't have a laboratory? They could even be telling us that the luminous and non-luminous fire, but it's no longer luminous, or the potassium permanganate, whatever. Well, I mean, the whole point that I'm putting across, Wahiga, yes, the whole point that I'm putting across is that, honestly, KICD will do much more. And what will they do? It is not right that you can increase the cost of education by close to 600%. What do I mean? If government was spending and giving a capitation of 1,450 shillings for a child in grade 7, how do you increase that one now to reach 10,000? Children were doing 7 subjects, now you've increased to 14. Does it make it cheaper or does it make it expensive? The whole point is that you end up spreading the very, very little resources that you have in education extremely thin. So what we need to agree as a country is what are the must-haves that every child should have when they are leaving basic education. And that's what you call functional literacy. Every child is able to read, every child is able to count, and every child is able to apply specific concepts in their real life. That is what you need. Then we can ask that what do we need for education to deliver in terms of national priorities. My friend, let me tell you, the challenge we are having over here is that we are over-promising that education can solve societal problems. The problems that we have in this country are not because of education, and this is the highest time that education stakeholders should stop this inward-looking conversation. And I've said time and again, where do we have KNBS in education conversations? Where do we have central bank in all these conversations? We keep on talking to ourselves, calling ourselves experts and professors, arguing over methodology and our old theories of Piaget and Vygotsky and whatever, yet we are unable to confront real issues ahead of us. I can tell you that an education system cannot create jobs. And that's the fallacy that we are selling to Kenyans, that CBC will come and solve all your problems. It is a question of reconfiguring the economy to provide jobs. It's a question of how do you convince people with money not to invest in all these high-rise buildings, but to end up, honestly, putting up some factories of 10, 20 people for them to provide jobs. But when we end up telling people that this education system will solve all the problems, we actually end up selling hope. And yet we know that education has a very complex value chain. It's not possible for you to deliver the desired outcomes and results that you want. Unlike what it is with a road. You construct a road, the following day you see the traffic situation has improved. You vaccinate people in healthcare. I mean, today if I'm selling to you, telling you that self-efficacy will work next year, you never know if it works. The 21st century skills, even nobody knows whether they are 25, whether they are 47 and whatever. So that's why I'm saying that it is just necessary that the institutions in the Ministry of Education have, one, the courage, number 2, they are properly funded so that they do the right thing. And that's all that we are asking for.
Courage, funding.
Courage and funding, because KICD is very, very courageous to say that this is what this country requires. Honestly, we are able to do the right thing. But just going to sell hope that we can nurture everybody's potential, it is not possible. People only have got 3 rights in life: the right to birth, the right to death, and the right to self-determination. And education can play a limited role in terms of realizing, self-determination. But it is not an end in itself.